Hello, and welcome to Renew Healthy Through the Holidays. So, tonight we are going to talk about some strategies to help you to stay on track with your health goals through the holiday season. So, hopefully, these will give you some ideas that you can apply over the next couple of months. So, let's go ahead and get started. Okay. So, first, I want you to start to think about what do you feel like are some of the biggest challenges to staying on track with your health goals during the holiday season. There can be a lot of things coming up that can make it difficult to continue with what you're working on with your goals, whether it's lots of social events, family gatherings, parties at work, all kinds of things that can fill up our holiday season and make it challenging to stay on track. So, one of the biggest tips that I can give to help you to stay on track with what you've been working on these last few months is to think about what is your plan? What would you like it to look like over this holiday season in terms of your health goals? So, here's some different topics that we're going to talk about tonight. Number one is to think through what are reasonable expectations. How do we holiday proof our plan? Outsmarting the buffet, fitting in our favorites, keeping moving, getting good sleep, and focusing on fun, not the food. So I think one of the first things to think about as you're thinking through the next couple of months until January is to think through what are my expectations out of the holidays and staying on track with my health goals. Um, and I think it's important to keep in mind that your plan may not look exactly the same as it does when you're kind of on a more normal routine, maybe less traveling, less events, less stress. Um, more cooking at home, more kind of routine. So, this plan over the next few months may need to adjust because of that. One thing that I think is helpful is to focus more on weight management instead of weight loss. So, most people pick up a few extra pounds over the holiday season that we tend to not lose as we go into the next year. So, it's a more realistic goal to just focus on how do I stay on track with my goals and try to work on maintaining my weight as opposed to focusing so much on the weight loss. Um, if you slip up, think about getting right back on track. So, as we talked about in the relapse class, as soon as you mess up, let's say that you overdid it a little bit Friday night and that dinner didn't go exactly how you were planning. Get right back on track Saturday morning with your goals. Don't wait all the way until Monday. I really encourage you to try to kind of get right back on track as soon as you can, rather than just saying, okay, I'll worry about this in January. And remember, the biggest thing is that we are working towards better, not perfection. And this goes all year round. We are trying to make better choices each day. We're not trying to be perfect. So don't make your plan so rigid that there's no room to kind of have some wiggle room in there. We do still want to enjoy our holiday season. So, how do we holiday proof our plan? Here's some things that can kind of help and to maybe keep in mind. Number one is as best you can, try to stick to what your normal routine looks like. So, I really encourage you to stick to your regular meal times, still having a healthy breakfast and lunch. Even if you're going to be doing something in the evening, our bodies like routine, and also skipping meals is going to make it way harder for you. So you don't want to skip and then show up really hungry, or what we're going to tend to do is then go overboard. So try to stay on track with what your regular meals look like. Have healthy snacks if you are going to be eating later. So if you're going to an event that's starting late at night, don't wait and then just show up starving. Instead, try to include some of those healthy snacks, being sure to include some protein so that you're showing up ready to enjoy the festivities, but not so hungry that you're ready to eat the entire buffet table. Stay hydrated. This is super, super important. Remember that when we get thirsty, that tends to present as the same feelings as hunger. So people who are dehydrated tend to overeat. And you really have to watch this in the winter season, because typically in the summer, it's so hot, it's easy to drink a lot of our water, right? But in the winter, when it's colder, we maybe don't need as much water. We're not as thirsty because it's not so hot, but it still is so, so, so important to get that water in. So make sure you're taking water with you. Having glasses of water before you eat can kind of help you stay on track with the meal. So making sure you stay hydrated. Think about the menu ahead of time. So if you know where you're going, if you know what's going to be served, start to kind of make a strategy of, what do I think that that meal's going to look like? What are things that I know I really want to have versus what are things that are maybe less important for me, that I don't care as much about enjoying. And then remember, you can budget your calories. So if you know you're going to be going to something that's going to be a little bit higher calorie, think about how the rest of your day should look to maybe allot space for that. Remember, the solution is not to just skip meals so that you can save up for that night. What you want to do instead is try to think about, okay, how can I do lower calorie filling options? Having some protein, getting lots of vegetables, some of your fruits, and trying to save some of those extra calories for that meal. So remember, our day to day, we want to try to have our meals and snacks in general around the same number of calories, around the same size, right? But if we know we're going to something that's special, maybe we're going out to eat, something like that, that we know is going to tend to be a little bit higher, then we can kind of budget those calories throughout the day, to try to kind of stockpile some extra calories for that night. Outsmart the buffet. So use a smaller plate. This can be really helpful. And the same thing goes with cups. If you're drinking anything with calories, using a smaller cup or not filling the glass up all the way. But smaller plates can kind of help you pre-portion what you're eating. And then pick your favorites. So don't feel like you need to deprive yourself. If you're going to your grandmother's house and you're getting that apple pie that she only makes once a year, by all means, enjoy that apple pie. But think about, what are maybe some other things that are not as important to me that I could maybe reduce so that I could have some space for that pie. Maybe I decide, you know what, I'm not going to have the dinner roll because I'd like to have a small sliver of that pie. Bring a healthy side dish. So if you're going somewhere, think of something that you can bring that you know is something that you could stockpile on. Maybe you bring this veggie tray so you have something that you can munch on to help kind of be a filler. Don't hang out in the kitchen. This is a really, really, really big one. So when you're going out, remember that you're out for socializing, for connection, to spend time with friends and family, right? So make your plate of food, but then hang out in the living room, in the backyard, in another area of the house, because if you stand right over the kitchen island that all the food is served on, you're going to kind of continue to pick even if you're no longer hungry. So instead, try to hang out in a place in the house where you don't have as many temptations. If you're eating at the kitchen table, if you start to feel full, go put your plate in the sink, or go ahead and put your napkin on your plate, and those can kind of help you to Listen to your body, know when your body is full, and be able to stop eating. Load up on the veggies. So remember, these are going to be our filler. They're full of lots of fiber. They'll help keep you full, and they can be very low calories. So this can kind of help you fill up without getting a lot of extra calories. Think about how you want to spend your calories. So would you rather eat your calories or drink those calories? So be very mindful of what your beverages look like and that you're not spending a lot of calories on your beverages, because you want to allocate those calories to the things that you're going to eat. If you are drinking a beverage with calories, what I always encourage you to do is focus on the quality of that, not the quantity. So I always encourage, if you have a caloric beverage, to also get a water and use your water to quench your thirst, your water to help get your food down, and use your beverage as something you sip on, and you enjoy and you take your time with, and you have in smaller amounts. And then eat slowly and be mindful. So remember, it takes about 20 minutes for your stomach to let your brain know that you're full. So slowing down, focusing on the conversation can really help you be better in tune with when your body is full and when your body is hungry. And then be mindful. So this is a wonderful time of year where a lot of people are cooking, we're gathering around food, right? But we want to enjoy that food. And the best way to enjoy that food is not by focusing on how much of it you're getting, right? More does not necessarily mean better. What helps us to truly enjoy our food is to be mindful, be paying attention. When you're eating, focusing on eating, not scrolling your phone, not watching TV, but really taking in all those tastes and smells and taking your time and enjoying that food. And what you're going to find is that you're way more in tune to your body. You're noticing when you're hungry, you're noticing when you're full, you're not overeating because you're being mindful and present in the situation, and you're actually enjoying your food more. Don't forget to fit in your favorites. So remember, no food is on the naughty list. We don't want to lump foods into good and bad, black and white, can have this, can't have that, right? All foods can fit. We just need to figure out how we want to balance those foods. So you decide what is worth the calories, and that's going to look different to everyone. We all have certain things that we love. If you love, love, love desserts, by all means, enjoy some desserts. But think about, if you're having that dessert, where are you going to take something out to save space for that dessert? If you're somebody that loves, loves, loves the stuffing, then enjoy the stuffing. If you're less of a desserts person, then maybe your kind of exception that you want to be sure to have is the stuffing. So everybody has a budget of what to think about in terms of their calories, but you get to pick and choose how you spend it. And remember to mix and match those favorites with what we talked about with My Plate. So your proteins, your vegetables, what do the sizes of those look like, and how do we mix and match those with some of our carbohydrates? And think about focusing on the quality, not the quantity. Okay. The best bites are always our first, second, third bites, right? After that, it tends to just kind of get more into we're eating because of the rhythm of eating. So eating more doesn't necessarily mean you're enjoying it more. So instead, take your time, savor those bites, focus on the quality, and think more about smaller portions, enjoying your food more as opposed to bigger portions and rushing to eat your food. Keep moving. So you want to try to maintain your activity goals. And this may be something that you need to think through. If your schedule is busier, what what are your activities going to look like? It may not look the same as other seasons of the year. You also need to keep in mind if it's getting dark earlier and I like to go out walking, or as the weather is getting colder. So what does my activity plan look like with those different barriers? Add in activities that don't center around food. So remember that the holiday season is about togetherness, it's about connection, time spent together. So, what are things that you can do as a family or as friends that don't necessarily center around food? Maybe it's we meet at the park and we go for a walk. Maybe it's we go family bowling, or we go roller skating, or we play football in the yard. What do you want that family time to look at like? And it doesn't always necessarily need to be centered around food. And then how do you get more steps in your day in general? Taking walks after meals, using the stairs, parking further away, keeping yourself moving is going to help you to have more energy through the holiday season. It's going to help you to feel better. It's going to help you to process your food. Nobody wants to eat Thanksgiving dinner, eat till they're stuffed, and then feel so sluggish they just want to go to sleep, right? So instead, thinking about eating a smaller portion, eating till I'm full, maybe getting out and going for a walk in the crisp, fresh air. And you'll be amazed at how much better you feel if you keep yourself moving over the holiday season. Another thing to keep in mind is stress, right? So 60, almost 65% of people report that they are moderately stressed over the holiday season, with about 20% feeling overwhelmingly stressed and only about 15% feeling not stressed at all. So how do you think stress impacts what you're working on with your health? So it's really important to also take care of you during the holiday season. Take some time to decompress. So remember that when our body feels stressed, we release more cortisol, our glucose rises, our body tenses, our blood pressure goes up, our muscles tense, right? So we want to take some time to try to help our bodies be able to relax, and change the body's physical response to stress. So even if the stress is good, the holidays can bring on positive stress. Cooking a meal for your family can be a happy event, but it can also be a stressful event, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's negative, but we do need to take some time to help our body be able to decompress. So deep breathing, maintaining our healthy habits, nourishing our body with those healthy foods, getting ourselves moving, taking time to doing things you enjoy, getting good rest. All of these things can help your body to physically relax, which is going to help change those physical reactions to your stress. And then try to eliminate stressors where you can. So the holidays bring on a lot of extra activities, fun things to do around the home, maybe decorating your house, things like that. But decide, what of those events do you want to go to? What in your house do you want to decorate? Make sure the things you're spending your time on are the things that are bringing you joy. And if there's some festivities you don't want to go to, or maybe not stressing so much about getting every decoration out or getting every gift just exactly right, but trying to kind of reduce the stressors where you can so that you can focus on the most important thing, which is enjoying and celebrating the season. Make sure you're still getting enough sleep. So, we want to try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, and this can be a huge determinant in your overall health. So, stress and lack of sleep can be major determinants of what you're deciding to eat, what your exercise is looking like, what are the choices that you're making in regards to your health. And they're oftentimes things we don't even think about. So when we think about our health and when we think about why we're doing certain behaviors, we want to also think about what some of those root causes are. So if we're really stressed out or if we're very tired, that can lead to eating habits that we maybe weren't planning on, right? Or it can lead to skipping exercise that we had planned on doing. So it's also important to keep in mind the whole the whole picture of your health. So what not only what does my nutrition look like, what does my movement look like, but also what do my sleep patterns look like? What do my stress levels look like? Because lack of sleep can lead to things like mindless eating, poorer food choices, weight gain, metabolic disorders, and oftentimes more stress. And then the final thought to leave you with is just remember the reason for the season. So, as we approach the holiday season, I encourage you to take the time to sit and think about what do I want this holiday season to look like? What do I want to remember? What are kind of the most important things for me? And how do I focus on that and focus less on the food, right? We want to focus on the fun and not as much on the food. So, when you think back in 10 years, what are the things that you want to remember? And how do you make sure those are the things that you're dedicating your time to during this holiday season? So, how does staying healthy measure up to the other things that are important to you at this time of year? And what do you want that to look like? So I hope that you found this helpful. These are just kind of some tips and tricks to help you think about as we get closer to Thanksgiving and Christmas is coming up and all of the different holidays and festivities that come at this time of year. This can be a wonderful time of year, right? This is a time of celebration. But if we're staying on track, taking care of ourselves, nourishing our bodies, moving our bodies, all of these things are going to be that much better, right? Because if you're taking care of you, then these other things are going to be more enjoyable for you. So I hope some of these tips and tricks were helpful for you. And I am wishing you all a very happy and healthy holiday season.